Hello and welcome back to this episode of Denmark 101. Today I want to talk to you about Christmas parties, Christmas lunches, Christmas dinners, Julefrokost. So Julefrokost is this strange phenomenon because it's not that Christmas parties themselves are unusual or Christmas lunches. Of course, that's quite common all over the world, at least within Judeo-Christian countries. But Julefrokost here in Denmark and within the Nordics in general, but is this strange experience. Now, they're commonly called Christmas lunches, but they usually don't take place at lunch. They're like I guess the same way we would do Thanksgiving in the U.S. It starts around 4 in the afternoon, maybe later, and then it unwinds over the evening and ends at 5 in the morning, 7 in the evening, who knows, depending on what it is. Maybe earlier, maybe around midnight. They include typically consuming an inordinate amount of alcohol, typically schnapps, which I just finished a video podcast episode on, and then a lot of different foods. There's like caramelized sweet potatoes. You have a flæskesteg, and all sorts of different pork variations, which is one of the big ones that comes out. Sometimes turkey, things like that. But instead of talking about the food, what I really want to talk about is the tradition that goes with it, and you get these Christmas lunches, and they're very common that you do it with friends, that you do it with your workplace, all of these different groups, and they are they're a bit similar to the annual Christmas party in the U.S., which all sorts of crazy things happen. You have coworkers doing awkward things. You have everybody doing whatever it might be, right? And so these Julefrokost are very, very, very similar in that sense. In that you have it put on by the workplace. You have them with friends, and it basically starts the last week of November, and then it just continues up until the middle of December, right before Christmas. And you see everyone. You get dressed up. You go to the party, wherever that is depending on if it's hosted by your workplace, then you'll go out or whatever it is. They contain a lot of different flavored smørrebrød of different very traditional Danish foods, and then all of that, of course, is accompanied by this incredibly strong drinking culture, paired with a lot of schnapps, a lot of drinking songs as the night progresses, and then it's kind of a little bit awkward as well, because there are elements of the Danish Christmas party where it doesn't matter who it is within the social circle, or if it's at work, everybody from your boss all the way down to the secretary, everybody is absolutely smashed. If it's family, then everybody from grandma all the way down to your cousins, they're all there. Friends, you name it. And it is one of the most heavily kind of intense drinking periods of the year in Denmark, and I think the schnapps probably plays a heavy factor, because it's round after round and toast after toast after cheers, and then really good rich food as that all progresses. And it also tends to lead to a large number of pregnancies, planned and predominantly unplanned, because I think in general you have the schnapps, and then a highly sexualized element, which maybe just goes where it kind of somehow has come to be this period where there's kind of not a get out of jail free card, because that's definitely not the case, but it's definitely a period where there are significantly more, let's say, indiscretions, and where people are exploring their interests significantly more than normal, which, given it's already a fairly sexually liberated country, can make for some interesting and awkward moments if you're not used to that tradition and you're coming from a different background. And of course, as I mentioned, you also see this rather large surge of pregnancies, which I guess some people would attribute just to the darkness and the number of candles, but it's pretty clear that there's a fairly strong correlation to these Christmas parties. So Julefrokost season, it happens in restaurants, it happens in houses, it happens all over schools, you name it, and they're a rich tradition and an interesting part of the culture. So, as always, to the Danes, please weigh in with what your favorite Julefrokost foods are, traditions are. And then there are some songs, and I think there are different songs regionally as well. So I'd love to hear what those are in a comment on the podcast or a comment here on the video. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to your questions, and this is another episode of Denmark 101.